periodically, I don't know if it's quarterly or monthly. But again, in the real world, everybody's busy, as this gentleman just said. I'm not saying it's the wrong thing to do by doing this. This is why we have a town board, they have to make that decision. But I think that the public, and shame on us if we don't, needs to be told that you're looking at making some substantial changes, and in any way, be it that, I usually see the newsletter. I don't spend a lot of time on the computer, you know, when I'm working during the day, I don't have that ability and luxury. But when the newsletter's mailed to me, I do see it, so I'm a little bit old-fashioned, I guess, that way. But, you know, this is something that will impact people, and it's also the perception of impact. If we have a state building code that is so good, and we're meeting the requirements set forth by the Fed, then, okay, we're not losing anything right now. If there's a time frame on getting this done, then maybe I'm wrong, I don't know that. But I think the people need, when I was up there, and my previous job, we represent the people. We try to take the best information we have and make sure that people understand it. And sometimes it's a bitter pill for them to swallow, and then they like it later. I mean, I agree with you 100%. But unfortunately, this is town Hurley. People live here for a reason. You know, this is living in the country. This is Tootsie. I mean, whatever you want to call it. Sometimes it seems like we're getting out of that. And maybe that's just my opinion. But I think if we could educate them in some fashion, be it that newsletter that goes out periodically, and say to them, look, you know, this may impact you. We want you here. We'll have a meeting. If you don't show up, shame on you. We're going to vote on it. And I'm guilty of it right now.
Point of order. There was a motion on the table. Is there a second?
What was the motion?
Supervisor's motion.
Table?
I made a request and motion.
Another motion?
Yeah, make a motion. So, I mean, with that being stated though, I mean, again, I feel it should be voluntary. I think it should be educated. I don't believe it should be done right now with the situation that's happening with COVID and the increases, if you can even get some of this equipment. So that's how I feel.
Well, can I ask you a question? Are you speaking about, are you having construction work to your house to do this thing now? No, I'm just, or was it already done?
This was done 16 years ago, 15 years ago.
Okay, there was a motion on the table. I make a motion to continue the public hearing for another month.
Are we putting a limit on this? This will be the third one.
I think the motion made by Mrs. McKnight should be based on some sort of follow-up with some type of education, some kind of postcard. We did the newsletter, we do it annually now, so that won't go out until next spring. But I don't know if it's going to be willing to look into a 21-cent postcard.
Who's going to pay for it?
I'm smart. There's a motion on the floor to table,
No, to keep the public hearing open.
to continue, table to keep it open for further discussion.
Well, that's what the motion is right now.
Correct.
What's going to happen if we keep doing this and then we lose out the ability to sign up for this, like we're saying, to get these grants and everything
Well,
else?
we're gonna-
There's no grants. It's not going to.
There's a financial incentive for the town to do this.
So it's more important
It's
for us to
gonna go
get
into
points,
effect.
to get grants, when we can follow up with other types of points that we can get through this community smart. We don't necessarily need this to get the points. I fully agree with you. I understand what we're talking about. We don't necessarily have to do this in order to get the points to get our grants.
We're talking about new construction, John. We're
It's
talking
new
about new
construction only.
construction.
That currently
Anybody-
right now,
It's not
you're in
gonna
this-
affect most people.
A piece of plywood now, and you can back me on this, a $10 piece of siding is now $55.
my point.
Any,
is,
my
just
point to
clear
you
my
is,
point.
let me, I'm talking. My point to you is anyone that could even afford
To build
to
a
build
house.
right now, or could actually even put an add-on onto their house,
Mhm.
much less anything else. Even someone who has an old house now, if they wanted even put new siding on because their siding's falling off, are gonna do everything in their damn well ability to slap another coat of paint on it and pray to God it save it until these prices go down, which they will.
So then why don't we wait till then?
We're talking new construction.
Okay.
We're not talking about just changing.
But we're talking.
This is what we're in.
Right, but we're talking about a situation that unfortunately is called a pandemic, and we don't need to put this into effect while the pandemic and its effects are still going. This doesn't need to happen right now.
All right, you and I both did, and we disagree on
That's
things.
what I
Do
do.
before, no, I still love you,
Love you too.
but no, I disagree with you.
So, okay, so the motion is to keep the public hearing open for another month, and then at that month, hopefully, people will be educated within that month period.
Hopefully we hear from more people.
Right. Great.
And if we don't, then we can table it then. I mean,
Oh my God.
What's the difference between tabling and the public hearing open?
That's what we're
Tabling
doing. We're tabling it for future discussion.
Right.
We're just keeping the public hearing open. Motion to keep the public hearing open. Moving this to table.
Okay.
I think that's what you meant. right?
Tabling means you're not gonna vote on it tonight.
it
That's
means
what
we're
that.
not voting, so,
Well, we can't vote tonight anyway. We can vote on Monday.
right.
See, to be honest with you, my personal feeling is I'm for the stretch.
I have too.
I teach, biology, and I teach environmental science, and what's happening is really disturbing to me, what I see going on here. And, and we always use the fact saying that, well, we want this thing done, but it's gonna cost money, therefore we're not gonna do it. And that's a lame excuse in a sense, in my opinion. I do want to educate the people, before, I don't want to ram anything down people's throat. I do want to educate people because I'm an educator, and that's the way I learn also in this kind of attitude. And I believe if people are educated in this thing, they might see the value in this coming through. I would like to see that happen,
So,
going through.
so Mike, so that's exactly what the Ulster County Planning Board and our building department can do for the people that can afford to do it. When it comes to them, whether it be commercial for the planning board and the county, and or here for our building department, Glenn has no problems issuing, here's the stretch code guidelines. If you can afford this, move forward, and you should really consider doing this. If you can't, then you have other alternatives.
I would like to
That's
see.
educated.
Okay, right.
With an option.
Right.
But so you're giving people an option. So let's say we have one of these these pieces of property that we have 60 acres. I had somebody from Tennessee get in touch with me, and a realtor, asking me how to buy large parcels of property in Hurley and subdivide them and build homes. If we don't pass this thing, and we don't put this into effect, if somebody like that or some other people get in and they start a big development or find an ability to do this, if they are not held to this, and they have to go back to put furnaces in because they're allowed to go back to the old ways,
The old ways.
it's already gonna be stuck.
We know that the New York energy codes are very stringent already. It's not the old ways. And if you think about it, there's literally 6 cities that have implemented this. Why aren't others doing it? Why is not New York State implementing it?
Saugerties and Marbletown.
Yes.
Our neighbors are.
But have they
Woodstock
haven't
did
passed it?
too.
They haven't passed it. And they're part of the climate smart, they're just getting involved. So, but they have not passed it yet. So let's,
No, I'm not, okay, you know, I just disagree.
No,
That's
that's
fine. But I think we're nuts not to do this. You know, the things that I've worked at the highway, and the new bit line of trucks that have been rotting apart, the transfer station falling apart. That's what we've been doing in this town for so long. Honestly, I'm sick of it. I've got my hands full repairing years of this, let's wait and see, you know? And wait and see doesn't work. Wait and see ends up costing us more tax dollars in the long run.
I do have Glenn on, if you'd like to speak. Glenn?
Yeah, I would like to make some comments. What I'm hearing is, I can't believe, because number one, nobody is stopping anybody from going above and beyond what the current code requires. We're talking about air sealing. Air sealing is under the current code for a new structure. And I can't believe this is even being brought up by a company that does construction, environmental assessments, and air sealing tests sit on our board, I feel it's a conflict of interest for this board to even be considering. And Peter, you don't need to pass no.
I need to set the record straight, Glenn. I don't do new construction. There's no
What's that?
benefit to me.
Could you speak into the microphone?
I'm speaking directly into the microphone, Glenn. My company doesn't do new construction.
Oh, what was that comment?
We don't do new construction. And I have said that I will not do new construction in Hurley, ever, yes.
So there's no conflict
There's
of
no
interest.
conflict of interest,
They're giving up.
because that's who I am.
I disagree with that.
You can disagree, but that's the fact.
Well, I don't know if they consider it a fact. I disagree with it. And the truth of the matter is that people have the ability to go above and beyond what the current code is. And I haven't heard anything on who's going to enforce all of this.
You are.
We'll hire help for you.
We keep saying that every week to you, Glenn. Every month.
Yeah, I know you do, but there's not help to hire. That's the problem. We've already put out feelers for people. And we're in the same business as everybody else around here. You can't get help. So check with Sophus, check with Soaries, check with everybody else that's around. And you can't hire someone because you have to be certified. And there's not enough people out there to do that.
We talked about this at the last, we had talked about this exact thing at the last town board meeting last month. I would not be surprised if due to COVID, due to all of this new stuff, that there aren't ways of surviving to make these things a little less taxing on towns, county, and state organizations to have to put people in these positions. Things like this have been done before when there's been shortage of workers that are needed for certain things. There are times when things are made available and things are laxed. I still don't buy that we're gonna let this state crumble because of not having enough people to do things. And you've needed help for over a year. So we could have solved this by now. And you know how I'm concerned about you, and we won't get into all that, but we need more people in that office. And
That's more tax dollars.
it's, again, you're stepping over dollars to pick up dimes.
I'm really not.
Continually.
And what you're not realizing is that we've gone
I'm
off
not saying
all
right
the
now.
civil service exam.
We gotta make through the month
It doesn't
this
exist
year.
because people don't exist. They don't exist. I can't even get a fire inspector. I can't even get a fire inspector. They don't
We
exist.
spent 2 years training someone, and they left. And for 12 years, I did a consistent level of permits at 170 a year. Last year, we were well over 300. This year, we're projecting even more. So you can sit there and say all you want about how you want to help. But if you can't get the people in there, then you can't help. And I've seen nothing. We've tried to get help. I put it out, and we put out feelers, and you get nothing. And if you go and you call one of the other towns, you're most likely going to get the same response. Go and look on the civil service list. Is there anybody on there that is hireable, even part-time?
There's a motion on the table, is there a second?
And now you want to add to this new whole project, which is going to require more inspections. And then you're going to want to add the short-term rentals, and I already looked at that one that was rescinded, and you're
We're
going to
not
want
talking about that right now.
inspections from me, again, once a year.
Actually,
every-
Glenn.
I need to stop you there because we talked about a company that will do enforcement, so that will be off your plate.
And we'll talk about that when we get to the short term.
I'd just like to request that the time of the meeting remain respectful. And if there's no second, then I'd like to rescind the motion and make a motion to table. Is there a second?
The motion was to table or to
I rescinded my previous motion, my motion now is to table.
table?
Yep, because I couldn't get a second. So is there a motion is there a second?
Explain it to me. Explain the change and what we're talking about.
So this would just mean no more public hearing, right now, and we can talk about it and how we want to proceed, or if we want to proceed. So, again,
Will we discuss-
waiting for a second.
Will we discuss this by Monday?
I'll second.
Would you call the vote, please?
All in favor?
Read the, what's the motion to
So the
table
motion is to table.
till next month?
There is no next month. We would then have to discuss and bring it back up to when we would reissue a public hearing, potentially based on educating the people and or if the board wants to move forward with it.
I personally want to move forward.
I would like to start, we have a motion on the floor, and that's the table and stop discussion on it.
It would-
If we actually had a motion to extend the public hearing to next month,
Mhm.
we can then discuss it,
Yeah,
and then
let's
decide, next. I would like to keep the motion, I would like to keep the public hearing open then.
That's why we would have to rescind the reopen.
Well, you had the first motion to extend the public.
Well, right now it's tabled. I seconded it.
But you
It's
can
to the
make that
floor for a
motion.
vote, so there has to be a vote to
The table.
yea or nay. The table.
Nay.
Nay.
No.
So,
I would like to bring up the motion to extend the public hearing. I'd like also in the public hearing, we start to educate people somehow, send out cards, send out something to allow them to come to the next town board meeting, to hear this thing. I would like for us also to contact NYSERDA and look to see what grants are available and what can be done. And maybe we as a town board can help facilitate people who are gonna, do this thing, how to or access NYSERDA and go from there.
there was a gentleman who was coming on tonight, but I don't see him. But anyway, he was with New York Stretch. I don't think it was NYSERDA, though. I think it's. So there's a motion on to extend the public hearing with educating the public. I hear a second.
Second.
You can't.
You brought it up.
Second.
Doing a good job.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
I oppose.
I ask you why you oppose?
Because I don't think that there's any discussion until we're done with this pandemic. I don't think it should be move forward.
Well, the thing is that we can actually then bring it up like next month again, and then.
Yeah, it's just
have
extending
one
the
table.
public hearing, it's
Yeah,
not
I
around
mean, we
deciding
don't want to
anything.
kick the can down the road.
No, I know that, but with Dan Miller,
Just,
like what he said, I find he's got a very, very valid point.
Yes.
And I don't want to ram anything down to.
That was never our intention.
No, what I want to do instead is educate.
I want to make it clear to say that we have not,
Oh.
that keeps coming up about ramming this down, and I will say we're not.
It's not.
And if you, like you admit, you haven't
I
paid enough
apologize.
attention
Mr.
to it.
Evans, Mr. Evans.
We have literally, one of my frustrations is I do. And that's why I'm frustrated, because we have done this already.
Mr.
This-
I don't disagree with you, I'm just saying.
Yeah, but just, I would please that you don't use the term ramming it down people's throats, because we are definitely not. This is not the old
I
era.
withdraw my comment, what I'm saying is, unfortunately, as you all know, people have lives, and a lot gets in the way. And then when you hear about it, and again, I'm like a stepchild here, I heard about it, it's important enough to me, God willing, I'm retiring from construction this year anyway. But also, I'm the guy that's looking to get out of New York State because I really don't want to live here anymore. Because too much restrictions, too much this or that, and I lived here all my life. And I'll be buried here, but I don't know if I want to die here. So, yes, it's, whether you choose my philosophy or not, doesn't matter. That's what your job is to do, is to make a decision as a town board.
Be sure you
But
let
I
all your
appreciate
neighbors
the
come next month.
opportunity to extend this and then make available to us locations where we can find this information. I appreciate it.
Okay, so public hearing stays open, so the motion was made, so at this time I have 7:33. I would like to stand for the pledge of allegiance to open the town board meeting. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Everybody received their vouchers and minutes for review?
I didn't sign on this, John, just so you know. I'm not gonna do it.
Just give me 1 second while I find my agenda. Okay. There is an announcement to make for the 6:30 on July 26th for the short-term rental laws in the town of Kings, or town of Hurley. Moving forward with that. That would be 26th, so that would be, what's it, that's next Monday. This law has been presented in the past. There are some changes, so please, everybody, go on to the website. You can, I'll update it tomorrow, the current laws that are being presented, and to move forward, and again, to educate ourselves on this. Okay? That'll be, again, Monday next week. At this time, I have 7:35. I'll make a motion to open public comment to discuss some of our agenda items. Need a second?
Second.
Second, Mr. Bombs, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Okay. Public comment, anybody on the floor? Can't do public comment.
Should I talk about solar at this point?
Yeah.
There's something weird about some,
You know, if you want to utilize this time, I don't, there's no one beat down the door.
Well, I just wanted to give the town board an update, on the, so I just want to give a town an update on the Solarize campaign. It just ended July 15th. It ran from early June to July 15th. The idea was to sign up people for community solar, and there were a lot of benefits to anybody who did that. They would save 10% off their electric bill. They would get a $100 rebate or a gift card, and benefit to the town and everybody else is that more of us will be utilizing clean energy, which is one of our goals as a climate smart community. So as of a couple of weeks ago, the numbers I got so far were that we had 10 people from Hurley and 3 from West Hurley, so a total of 13 so far, and that was a couple of weeks ago. And you might remember that our goal was to get at least 10. And then once we cleared that bar, then we can submit it to NYSERDA and get clean energy community points, and would also line us up for a NYSERDA grant of potentially $5,000. And that's the same, as the New York stretch, like line us up for a NYSERDA grant of $5,000. But anyway. So it's good that we got it done now, because those monies are limited, so it's sort of like first come, first served. So that's one of the reasons we wanted to do it early in the summer and get our application in. So,
Congratulations.
thank you. We did well. And then rest of, you know, the Climate Smart Committee, you know, we're just gonna keep plugging away on getting more actions completed. And we did find out from our work with Cornell Cooperative Extension that the town already had done actions worth 40 points, which is really, really great.
It's been the last 3 years.
We got zero.
Well, it's the electric vehicle, the charging station, but one of them dates back to 2015, which is the solar, so things like that. Very cool. So I'm just very appreciative.
And while I have you up there, maybe share a little more. The Climate Smart consultation that we had, would you want to speak a little bit about that?
Well, as a part of my participating in the local champions program, we were given 3 hours of consultation from a consulting firm, Ty and Bond. The consultant's name is Brandy Nelson. And we had a meeting with her and people from the CAC, and John was there, and we talked about clean water. We were, our goal was, it was my goal in bringing her in, the idea was that she would help us look at ways that we could get Climate Smart Community points and help us strategize. And there is a Climate Smart Action where you develop a drinking water source protection program, you get a lot of points. And it also, in my opinion, would be a really great asset for the town to have a plan like this in place. It would, you know, affect, it could feed into our comprehensive plan. It could feed into eventually our zoning code, and we would have a better, more confidence that our drinking water is protected, which I think a lot of people are worried about in town, and they told the CAC that over the years. So, so we had a meeting, and Brandy is pointing us toward a New York State program that would help us develop that, and we're going to meet with her again in a couple weeks in August, and come up with a strategy of how we can implement that plan.
I think some of the things that you know, Brandy was also referring to, maybe developing some overlay areas, which would then assist the town in bettering our ability to develop properties and things of that nature. Obviously, we pretty much are a well-fed, I should say, municipality. So our drinking water is, you know, once it's contaminated, we're screwed, as we can see with the West Trail and things of that nature. So, Kristen, thank you again. You tremendous amount of time and energy, as always.
Yeah, I just want to say something, Kristen. We have a meeting coming up with Jeff Domansky and Anthony Sakari from New York State Solar about solarizing the transfer station, and it looks like it's moving along. We're getting the finances. I would like to invite you to come to that meeting also.
Okay.
It's going to be, well, they wanted it this Thursday, but John can't make it this Thursday, so we'll shoot for a day on next week sometime for me.
Yeah, I won't be.
Well, I think we might do it on Zoom. I'm not sure if we're going to meet in person, so I can also send you the link.
If it's Zoom on Wednesday, I'll do Zoom. Or Thursday, I'm sorry, Thursday.
All right, I'll find out what they're talking about.
Whatever.
All right, I'll
I
call
mean,
you tomorrow.
I mean, we've been up there so many times. I mean, so,
Well, my feeling is that we're going to do it on Zoom. You know, so
if it's Zoom, whatever.
Okay.
Whatever's convenient.
Peter, is that all right for you? Zoom?
No, I don't know about Zoom for Facebook. We can come over.
Oh, Linda?
We'll do it.
Do like Thursday? I'll be on Zoom. I sent you the email.
Okay, I'll look at it back.
All right. And I'll forward you the email also.
Anything else on the floor? Anything on the table? Okay, I have 7:43, I'd like to make a motion to close public comment.
Second.
Second by Mr. Bombs, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So carried. Okay, moving forward to some of the resolutions. Everybody had an opportunity to review the resolutions. First resolution is to just amend the adoption for the employee handbook to allow part-timers working 20 hours or more the ability to receive vacation time. Any comments?
Is that, I honestly couldn't pull these up on my,
That's fine.
this is the first I've seen it.
Oh.
It's paid holidays, isn't it? It's not.
It-
Oh, did I say vacation?
Yeah.
I'm sorry, good holidays.
Yeah, as long as it's just what we talked about, I'm gonna have to read this, because we won't vote on it anyway today, but I just wanna make sure
Sure.
that.
Yeah, you have the week, it's reviewable.
Yeah.
Resolution to circulate the draft exterior lighting, local law. Everybody is,
That's 210, right?
210-41 sub B of the zoning. This is the dark sky initiative. Everybody's comfortable, understands that?
Yes.
This will all be on the website once the board speaks about it tonight for review. I do have some bad news. We have two resignations. The first resignation is from our longtime secretary, Doris Alden, who has been amazing, 20 years of service. Plus, I mean, she's the fire department, she's just Hurley. Hurley is Doris. So she's an amazing lady. I wish her luck and love, and she's gonna be very hard to replace. There is a resolution on the table. We always go in-house first. One of the individuals that was willing to step up to the plate was our planning board secretary, Lisa Mance. So, any discussion on that?
I want to discuss that in executive session, please.
Executive session. Resolution to have the town highway department put a request for proposal out to repair the sidewalks and curbing on Main Street. This is our historic district. This is the area in which the town is responsible for in the winter for shoveling and maintaining. Actually, Mike Schultes, superintendent highway, requested this RFP. They are extremely busy. He doesn't know if he can get to this. He doesn't know if he can assist, but we're going to give him an opportunity to draft and put something out there. We did have somebody fall on the sidewalk, on the other side of the sidewalk. Doesn't make it any better, but potentially there is a lawsuit, and we don't want to be that next. So in the resolution, I redrafted it. I removed a couple words that Mike requested removed, but I did put in here that it is an emergency repair and it is a priority. It is really bad shape. So.
Maybe I have a question on that one. Sure. Are we responsible for clearing the sidewalks on Main Street?
Yes, the historic side, I think it's the odd side, right?
Sorry,
Yes, it's the odd side.
Because it's historic buildings?
Well, we took over the responsibility from the county when we put in all the new bluestone and everything.
Okay.
So, that was done back quite a while ago, man.
How little are all of them?
Pretty good, they're all in pretty good shape. It's just the curbing from the big trucks going up and trying to make the turn on Schoolhouse. Just storing the curbing there. And the cement that Mike actually, he'll probably come on and he'll describe that. He's got his hand up now. He can describe a little more about what the deterioration looks like on this side of the overpass that's deteriorating pretty badly.
Is there a way of like, we always have a lot of complaints about that whole area, of just making it non-commercial vehicles only? And prohibit commercial vehicles,
I mean,
it's absurd, because.
I know Mike had a couple ideas about some signage. It's gotten better. We also, Mr. Decker has also put up some pillars, so they can't make the turn. They can't go up on the curbing now.
Okay.
But doesn't mean that they're taking fences down for the historic. you know,
I will say I was involved with another city where I lived before, and we had innumerable lawsuits about sidewalk tripping.
right,
A lot of them due to raising trees, things like that. I think it's something that we really should look into to make sure.
Yes,
Because
I agree.
because people will sue just to get a settle, and it's nuts.
Mike, I'm sorry, I see you have your hand up and I hear that you're breathing, is that?
I'm
Yes.
sorry about that.
We want you to breathe, we want you to breathe.
No, that last repair was done, I want to say '06, and it was done via a grant. I think Arrow Paving won the RFP and did the work, and all that curbing was from a 100-year-old quarry across from Wall Street on the reservoir property. They donated all that curbing to us. So that curbing is historical in itself. It's over 100 years old.
Probably irreplaceable.
We have a few pieces left,
Yeah, I've seen it up there.
but the